Hello and welcome. You are watching Gravitas Plus. I am Molly Gambhir. Earlier this week, the world encountered a term that sent alarm bells ringing: water bankruptcy. According to a new report released by UN researchers, the world has moved beyond a water crisis and into a state of global water bankruptcy. That's how serious the crisis has become. The thing is, for the longest time, the warning of a global water crisis and other such warnings have been haunting us. But that in a way meant recovery down the road. According to UN researchers, the world is facing irreversible water bankruptcy, with billions of people struggling to cope with the consequences of decades of overuse, as well as shrinking supplies from lakes, rivers, glaciers, wetlands. Sounds scary, right? But what does that mean? Let's just tell you more about what the report says. Global water bankruptcy, living beyond our hydrological means in the post-crisis era. Just for context here, the UN University's Institute for Water, Environment and Health is also known as the United Nations think tank on water. And here's what the report warns. Nearly 3/4 of the global population living in countries classified as water insecure or critically water insecure. Among the key takeaways is this: many regions are living beyond their hydrological means, and many critical water systems are already bankrupt. Billions of people are living with chronic water insecurity. Around 2.2 billion people still lack safely managed drinking water. 3.5 billion lack safely managed sanitation, and nearly 4 billion face severe water scarcity for at least 1 month each year. Surface waters and wetlands are shrinking on a massive scale. Around 70% of the world's major aquifers show long-term declines. In simple terms, the diagnosis given by the report sends alarm bells ringing. The UN report has declared the dawn of an era of global water bankruptcy amid chronic groundwater depletion, water over-allocation, land and soil degradation, deforestation, and pollution, all compounded by global heating. So according to it, the world has already entered an era of global water bankruptcy. The condition is not a distant threat, but a present reality. Many human water systems are now in a post-crisis failure state where past baselines can no longer be restored. Global water bankruptcy is defined as a persistent post-crisis state of failure. And in this state, long-term water use and pollution have exceeded renewable inflows and safe depletion limits. Key parts of the water system can no longer realistically be brought back to previous levels of supply and ecosystem function. According to the report, the world is already in the state of water bankruptcy, so terms like water stress and water crisis are no longer adequate. Stress describes high pressure that is still reversible. Crisis describes acute, time-bound shocks. Water bankruptcy must be recognized as a distinct post-crisis state where accumulated damage and overshoot have undermined the system's capacity to recover. Basically, the report is stressing that terms like water stress, water crisis that we are so used to hearing fail to reflect today's reality in many places. And what is that reality? A post-crisis condition marked by irreversible losses of natural water capital and an inability to bounce back to historic baselines. And this is a call to reset the global water agenda in a way. So just to break this down further, while not every basin and country is water bankrupt, enough critical systems around the world have crossed these thresholds. These systems are interconnected through trade, migration, climate feedbacks, geopolitical dependencies. So the global risk landscape is now fundamentally altered. So the report is putting out a rather uncomfortable truth. Just look at the bigger picture here. While water bankruptcy might be experienced locally, a well going dry, for example, a city preparing for day zero, the causes and consequences are increasingly global. So simply put, according to the report, global water bankruptcy is not the simple sum of many local crises. It is a systemic condition of the global human water system, a pattern of chronic overshoot, irreversible damage, among other aspects. And recognizing this global dimension is essential. According to the report, many human water systems have moved from stress to crisis and into water bankruptcy. This also shifts the focus from reacting to each new drought, flood, or day zero as if it were an isolated emergency to changing the underlying relationship between societies and water. Managing water bankruptcy requires a shift from crisis management to bankruptcy management. So the need of the hour is no longer to get back to normal, but to prevent further irreversible damage, rebalance rights and claims within degraded carrying capacities, transform water-intensive sectors and development models, and support just transitions for those most affected. According to the researchers, the current approach to solving water problems was no longer fit for purpose, and the priority was not returning to normal, but a new global water agenda designed to minimize damage. So what needs to happen, you ask? Bankruptcy management anchored in honest diagnosis, prevention of further irreversible damage, demand reduction, adaptation to new norms, and just transitions. Basically, recognizing the era of water bankruptcy can support more effective implementation of internationally agreed goals. The report also calls for an explicit recognition of global water bankruptcy in global policy debates. Water bankruptcy governance cannot be left to individual basins or countries alone. The need of the hour is coordinated action across multiple levels: local, national, regional, and global, and across policy domains that have historically, in a way, treated water as a secondary concern, perhaps. The aim is definitely not to extinguish hope, but to encourage action. Also coming to terms with the harsh reality at this point to protect our future and the coming generations. You see, with new research suggesting day zero may arrive far sooner than many expect, we are standing at a crucial juncture. And in case you're not aware, according to scientists, a day zero drought is a prolonged dry period that collides with growing water demand and shrinking reservoirs. And according to the recent study published in Nature Communications, under high greenhouse gas emissions, nearly 75% of land affected by drought could face severe water shortages by the end of the century itself. Just for context, day zero events are intensified by human-caused warming and consumption patterns. Limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius could significantly reduce the scale of the crisis, reducing the number of people exposed to day zero conditions. Lower emissions can also assist in delaying the worst impact. There are other major measures like water recycling, better reservoir management, rainwater harvesting. In simple terms, the message is loud and clear. The time to act is fast running out, and these are warnings the world can no longer afford to ignore.